Welcome back to the shop, guys. So today I am getting back on the tie rod job. Right over here, I've got my setup going on. You might recall a few weeks back I shared in an SNS video tapping 5 of these guys right here. These are tie rods that have a threaded end right here that need to be chased because they had a batch of 180 in their production where these ends got slightly pinched here on the end, just enough that the threaded bushing right here will not screw in there. Okay, so we got to get it started straight. So I have now started on this this production run of 180. I've got the entire pallet of them. They come in boxes of 10. So I've got the first box right here with 10 of them. I just finished these. I have improved my setup. I made it a little bit more streamlined where I've got less things I'm having to do. I took a few of the recommendations off of that previous video and I kind of applied them to my little fixture right here. And bring you over there. I'm going to show you what I've done to that to kind of reduce the cycle time, should I say, of doing these tie rods here. So we're ready to go. I figured today I'm probably going to show this and try to get it all completed today. Danny had contacted me and said that he could use these as soon as I could get them back to him. So that's what we're going to be working on, is trying to get all these done. Hopefully between today and maybe tomorrow we'll have this whole job knocked out and palletized and sent back. I've got some banding material that should be here today. I need to band them back to the pallet, things like that. But the other thing I wanted to point out is there's been a lot of comments from people who are just unaware of this design, okay? And a lot of the comments were basically, well, that looks like it's going to fail because they drilled the hole off center, right? Well, it is off center. This is a patented tie rod end, and it's designed this way purposely. It's designed for clearance. So once this, once the actual tie rod, the end is in there, like I said, you got to start that straight. It provides clearance on this end of the tie rod, okay? Now, I'm not big into 4x4s and Jeeps and all that stuff there, but I do understand there that every little bit of clearance is important whenever you're working underneath a car, truck, 4x4, hot rod, all that kind of stuff. So these were designed that way by Rare Parts. These are purposely made that way. All right, and I'm sure a lot of the guys out there in the 4x4 community could probably chime in and say exactly why these are offset that way, and probably also tell everybody that these are not going to fail because of the way they're designed like that. These are heavy-duty tie rods, and I really don't know much more about them, but I know that they're popular in the Jeep crowd. And these are replaceable ends. Instead of throwing this entire thing in the garbage and replacing it, you can buy a threaded bushing here with the proper tie rod end that's installed in here, or that you install in there, should I say. Okay? So, enough with that. Let's go over here. I'll show you my setup and how we've improved that a little bit. And then we're going to get started on and try to get this batch of 180 tie rods done. All right, so here's my fixture here. And the way this will work is I'm just going to slide it in from the right side. And when I showed this before, I was sliding them in from the left side there. We got these shims in there, and I've also got a new spacer in there, and I'll show you that. All right, so slide it in from the right side, okay? I've got my machinist jack already set to the right height right there, okay? So all I got to do is just slide this in there, just eyeball it in the middle of the hole, and that's set right there, okay? Then we're ready to go. We'll bring our Flexarm over here. I've got this tin can with a magnet on it, and I've got my dart cutting oil. I actually bought this for this job. This is the Tap Magic Extra Thick. It's like syrup is how thick it is. I was going to use this, but the problem with this is so thick is that whenever you dunk the tap into this can with that Tap Magic, man, that stuff is just oozing off there. It's so thick. So I just poured it back in there, and I'm going to be using my conventional dart cutting oil, and it works great. I've also got an extra squirt can right here, an oiler, that I'll be applying a little bit of extra oil as it's tapping, during the actual tapping cycle there. Okay, so and then run the tap back out, slide it back out the right side. I've got some degreaser over here. We're going to be spraying it down, blowing it off with the air hose into the trash can, and then it's done. I will be checking them every time. once I get through cleaning them, I'll check them with the threaded bushing here, and you just have to get it started straight. Some of these things are, it's like you can cross thread it to get it started. You see, this is the same one that I just showed you over there, but kind of a frustrating deal. See what I mean? So it will start. It's doing that because I'm trying to show it to you quickly. That's the problem. All right, so on the setup here, what I have done is I took the two shims. Let me just go ahead and take it apart and show you. All right, so we've got the two shims, and I cut them in half. I'm just using basically one now. All right, we've got the two shims. I drilled and tapped them for those little cap head bolts right there. All right, in the bottom of this, I went ahead and machined this UHMW shim for the bottom of the fixture. And what that did was that took up the gap that I had in here. I got it machined where it just pushes in there. And so that takes up the gap there. So it's got a nice close fit inside that fixture now without a bunch of gap. And also helps because the length of the tap was just barely long enough to reach down through there and tap all the way through it. All right, so this started off as I believe it was a 1/2-inch thick piece of UHMW. I cut it and fly cut it over there on the milling machine. I got a little bit of footage of that I'll show you. Then I bored the hole. All right, and then I milled these to the proper size and drilled and tapped the holes in there. So it, like I said, it just kind of friction fit inside there, so it won't really move around on me. I'm not worried about bolting that in, and then just stick these guys back in there and run these little 1/4 cap head bolts in there, and that'll hold these guys in place. Just like that. And snug those up, and that'll keep them in place. And that's it. That's it right there. and it's working real good. So I've done the first 10, everything's working fine. So I'm gonna put this batch of them back in the box, pull another box out, and I'll show you how it's going. All right, we'll take you through the motions here. I just eyeballed the tapped hole there in the middle. The tap has done a really good job of just lining that up. So bring it over here to my tin with the cutting oil. We'll just give it a good dunk. Line up in the hole and let it go. I got my other oil can here. I'm giving it some extra oil to flow down as it's tapping. And I can tell right before it stops right there that we've actually cleared all the way through the part. And then we'll reverse. And I've kicked the speed up on this too. So we're running a little bit faster than the first 5. Once we're done, I just pick that up and we'll slide it back out to the right side. And now let's clean it off. Right now I'm just using this in a can because I've got a few of these that I haven't used yet, but later I'm gonna put some of I got some of this in a gallon jug that I'm gonna put in my spray can, and then we'll use up some of that. So just using this to get the cutting oil and some of the chips off, and then I got my air hose ready, got my earplugs in. All right, there we go. And then I'll grab the bushing and give it a check. And it's cross-threading again. There you go, see? It's just because I'm in a hurry trying to show it to you and do it fast, but it goes right in there just like it's supposed to, all right? So we'll take that back out. And then what I'll do is I'm just gonna try to do this all in one motion. I've got a rag there, just kind of give it a little wipe, get the rest of that off, and then we'll bag it back up. I'm just going to do them in boxes of 10, that way I can pull them out, tap them, clean them, bag them, put them back in the box, tape the box closed, and then stack it back over there on the, I've got my pallet jack loaded down with them from the pallet outside. So we'll take this and put it back in the bag, just like that, and I'm going to set it in the box. All right, then we'll grab the next one and do it. Get that guy to stay there. He tries to pull back on me. That's actually the very first time that bottom shim moved on me there. Put the thread sleeve back on there. Grab another bag and bag it up. All right. I'm getting real close to the halfway point of the tie rod job here, and I wanted to give another mention to the degreaser that I'm using. So I was using this earlier. So I told you I got a few cans of this. So I used up this can, and I had a gallon jug. I thought I had a full jug, but this had just enough to fill up this quart container right there. And I was going to recommend this stuff because it does an excellent job of degreasing and getting the oil off of your parts right there. So if you pick up this in the gallon container, this works really well in the hot shot right here. I'm sorry, the Sure Shot sprayer, and just pressurize it. And I mainly focus on the threads, you know, kind of getting the oil out of the threads and a little bit on the outside there, and just hit it with a little bit of air. Now I still have to go there and wipe some of this off, but it just does a good job. So I'm saying that because I have a lot of people that ask me what kind of cleaner I'm using in this, and I've got some other cleaner that I used to buy from Motion when I worked there, but it's very expensive. And I think this right here is another great degreaser to use around the shop when you're trying to get the oil off of parts. Just get you one of these Sure Shots and put that heavy duty degreaser in there and go to town with it. So the cutting oil that I'm using here, as I had mentioned before, this is my just old school sulfur based dark cutting oil, and you can see I'm using it pretty liberally, which is what you want to do, especially for thread cutting. And some might be thinking that I'm kind of using an excessive amount of oil, which I'm not using excessive oil. And the other thing I was going to point out is I have a lot of this cutting oil still left over. I bought a 55 gallon barrel drum of this from my local oil distributor several years back when I was still working in my old shop with my dad. And I still probably have, if I had to guess, I got at least 35 gallons of this cutting oil left in that drum. It's probably well beyond the shelf life expiration date that they would have put on that drum, but let me just tell you, it's still just as good now as when I bought it there. So I got plenty of this cutting oil to blow through. That's still going to last me a very long time. The only thing about it is that it just makes a big mess. So I've got my pig mat layered all the way around here just to kind of absorb the cutting oil. But it's you know, it's a consumable, so I'm not worried about how much I use or how much gets used during this process here. And it works really good. It's an excellent oil for any kind of thread cutting or drilling holes, that kind of stuff. the next one. All right, well, it's the next day. We've got our first batch finished right here. So we've got 100 down there, actually probably about 105 because of the first 5 that I did. I added those into those boxes right there. So 105 done. It means I got 80 left out there I need to bring in here. I got them on a pallet outside, just bring them in on the pallet jack right here. And wanted to get more of them done yesterday, but I had to go to a doctor's appointment yesterday afternoon. Ended up taking about 3 hours out of my day. Once I got back, I had some meds I needed to take. I needed to get off my knee and rest it. So I feel better today. It's early. I'm out here getting ready to get started, and we're gonna get this job finished up. Yesterday, my banding showed up too. This is just the metal strapping material right here. I did not have any more, so I just bought a small batch right here from McMaster Car, 3/4 wide, 20 thousandths thick, and this is a roll of 300 feet. By the way, they sell this in all the standard sizes in these 300-foot rolls in case you just need a small batch and, you know, just a single coil that you can just pull out and cut off what you need. All right, so later on when we get these done, we'll go ahead and get them strapped back down to the pallet. So, gonna get started on the next batch here. I'm trying a new cleaning method here. I brought the smart washer back here next to my tapping station, and instead of trying to instead of using the brush, I'm just going to run it under the cleaner there and then just blow it off, and it seems to be working really good. Getting it nice and clean, getting the chips out of there, that's the main thing. I was running out of the heavy duty degreaser I was out of, and I didn't want to keep using my expensive solvent degreaser, so I think this is a nice little setup right here. Working pretty good. This thing's on wheels, so it's real easy to just roll it wherever you want and then plug it in. The solution is warmed. I believe it's warmed up to like 105 degrees. It stays that way, and works real good. It's a water-based cleaner, not oil or solvent. Yeah, that's getting the job done. It's actually a little bit easier this way. So I'll just continue to do my batches of 10. I got about 60 left to go. And the way it's looking, I should have them done here this morning sometime. I'm down to the final 20 tie rods to tap. I wanted to show you this. I've had a few comments come across about be interesting to measure one and see the warpage that we're talking about, because I haven't measured these yet, or I haven't shown you the measurements on any of them. So tap size is 1.671. I was trying to remember. 1.671 is the actual tap size. So if we, let me see if you can see that. All right, so one direction, this is just one random tie rod. 1.643 that way. Let's go this way with it. And you can see right at 1.670 right there. So you got one direction that's pretty well on the recommended tap size, and then you got the other direction that it's squeezed in there. So you're looking at about 20 thousandths, but I have measured several of these randomly, and I'm getting anywhere between 20 and 30 thousandths squeeze on these things. Some of them are less than that. When we're running the tap through there, sometimes the tap goes through fairly easy and I don't really hear any kind of load on the machine. And then some of them that are up to like the 30 thousandths egg shape, I can really tell that the machine is working to get that tap down through there. And I think also, you know, we've done 160 of these now. That tap is probably not razor sharp anymore. It could probably use a resharpen, but it's still doing a good job in getting the and getting the job done. So anyway, I just wanted to fill people in that were questioning that, and I'm going to get these last 20 finished up. The one we've been looking for, number 180. Last one. My little system has just kind of evolved a little bit here and there as I've been going through it. I'm just trying to make them a little bit easier and faster, hopefully. But there we go. Last one, 180. Time to get these boxed up, and we'll get them out there to the pallet, get it palletized. All right, there we go. So in a case like this right here, the freight company is going to be coming to pick this up, and because I don't have a forklift, I don't have an easy way to get, from the big concrete slab by the shop out to the road or whatever. It's easier using this part of the driveway because it matches up with the road. So he can come in with his pallet jack, grab this, take it right out to the lift gate on the back of the truck. So I want to do some wrapping on this with some plastic wrap, and then put some metal straps on there to keep them all in place. So for some of you that may be watching this that are not really familiar with these banding tools, you have the, this is like the crimping, not the crimping tool, this is the tool that tightens up the strapping here. And you just ratchet it in there like that. Seems pretty good. We got the corner guards on there too, but it's all just cardboard boxes with those hard parts in there, so we're good to go. And this is the little, I actually don't remember what you call that, but that's what crimps the two pieces together. You stick it on there, and then this is the actual crimping tool. Stick it on there, squeeze it together, crimps it, release this by squeezing it together. And then I take the extra overlap there, just bend it a few times, it breaks it off. That way this piece ain't out there for you to rip your hands open with. All right, well, we got our tie rod job finished up. All I got left to do is finish cleaning all this up. I've been kind of, soaking up some of the oil there with the pig match and washing all the other parts off. But everything went real good there. The Flexarm did a flawless job on it. That 1 3/4 12 tap that I had, that was a brand new tap, and it did good. It didn't fail, throughout the job. I would like to actually send it out and get it reground to touch those cutting edges up, and just have it ready for any future job that might come in here. But I'm just real happy with the setup. This was the first real true heavy test using the Flexarm, and it did a great job. So it made that particular job very simple and easy to get done, because I can just imagine how difficult that would be trying to hand tap all those things. Not only just hand tapping it, trying to get the tap to start in there, because when you got a distorted hole, trying to get a tap to start manually with your hands into a hole is very difficult. But that made it just super easy. I didn't have one cross thread problem. There was a couple of them that I had to set back in there and run the tap through. For whatever reason, I had a couple of them that the bushing didn't want to thread into. So I set it up, chased it for a second time, and then it went in there just like it was supposed to. So this should be all ready to go, and all I got left to do, you saw the pallet. I just got to put my shipping label on it, and then set up the pickup for it to be picked up and sent back out to Rare Parts. So that's it, all good to go. I'm gonna get all this cleaned up, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Maybe you got something fun out of it. If nothing, maybe it was a little entertaining to watch me do those. And I got a couple more jobs lined up that I need to get started on. That's what my plan is now. We still have the Stoker engine over there in the shaper. It is patiently waiting for me to get to it, and I'm trying to get to it, and we will soon. But we also have a couple more jobs that I would like to get done and get sent out of here, stuff that people have been patiently waiting on for me to get to. So we're going to try to get those done before the end of the year. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next video.